next speaker, she's a Townsville grandmother, mental health worker and freelance journalist. Kim is the founder of Love Australia or Leave Party. Kim's work includes stopping an Islamic boys' school in Queensland. Kim also participated in the documentary Go Back to Where You Come From that took her to many hotspots in Syria, Iraq, Baghdad and spent time with the Kurdish fighters and was shot at by ISIS. She has visited a UN camp in Jordan near the Syrian border. To Kim, it is about the legacy we leave our children and grandchildren. Please, can you give a round of applause to Ms. Kim Vuga?
Love you.
Love you back. Hi guys, well, the left to run away. That wouldn't be the first time they disappeared, so that's funny. And look behind us guys, so close yet so far away. We need to be voting in parties that are going to make sure that are going to do the right thing for your children. Special thanks to all of those who have worked hard at organising today's event. Well done. I know a lot of people behind the scenes anonymously who do not often get recognised, so thank you. It is great to finally meet up here with you guys today, and I know many Love Australia or Leave members are also here too, so I can't wait to catch up with you guys after the rally. It has certainly been a busy 10 weeks for our team, and that's probably an understatement. We have candidates, Love Australia or Leave in Victoria, New South Wales. We have Liz Power from New South Wales who is here today, one in Tasmania, and processing more candidates throughout Australia. The good news is that we can announce today that we now have the required numbers to register the party with AEC. 9 weeks, guys, so what does that tell you how the people feel in Australia? If you can get up a party and get the numbers in 9 weeks from announcing, there is something seriously wrong with our government. We invite anyone here today to join and become a foundation member while the membership is still free. You can see Liz over the back there, and we would be honoured to have your support. Be a part of the changes that are desperately needed in our country. For those of us who stand up and speak the truth, there is a heavy cost to pay for speaking up and standing up for our country. I hold a position in public service with Queensland Health as a mental health worker, a position I've held for 5 years. Just 4 days prior to Christmas, I received an email via the Love Australia or Leave party email address from my employer that stated I had 7 days in which to immediately resign. I believe I am too outspoken and controversial for the Department of Queensland Health.
Unreal.
I believe that the directive has come from higher up in government. So I emailed back and I said, I am not resigning and I am not going anywhere. However, I am aware under the obligation under the Constitution, Section 44, that I will have to resign from my position a few weeks prior to the federal election. My only crime is wanting to stand up for the everyday people of Australia. I will not be bullied and I will not be discriminated against by anti-worker thuggery from our government. So I'm not going anywhere. I will not be silenced, and I have continued to turn up to work despite I can't get in with my swipe card. In the last 12 months, I have never seen such an attack on freedom of speech in this country. Freedom of speech is dying. It is almost dead. Our grandfathers, our forefathers fought hard for this great country. They fought for our freedoms, democracy, and the very things we hold dear. They would be absolutely disgusted to see what is happening to their country today. They would be spinning in their graves right now. Our freedoms have been fought for once, and we shouldn't have to be fighting for them again. What sickens me is we can allow the groups of Muslims to shut down the streets of Auburn and shut down the streets for a wedding, but we cannot even speak out. What happened to the Australia we all knew? Our culture is dying, Australia is dying, and so is our freedoms. We only have to mention the word Islam in our country. The forbidden word Islam will see me banned in the town of Gladstone from not one but 3 venues. So I dare not mention the word Islam in our country because you're likely to be kicked out. But we won at the end of the day. I still got to speak out. I stood in the back of a ute with a microphone and a generator in a sporting field with 160 people. Despite being cancelled from 3 venues, despite the bullies and the traitors in town, we won. We proposed a mosque in Gladstone, had not even been built yet, and yet the town was already divided. Our nation here in Australia is divided. Just 4 weeks ago in Newcastle, I booked another club at Edgeworth, only for the owner of the club to call me and apologise. They wanted to shut too. They had 3 non-threatening phone calls from the left, and the club was concerned because they had refugees living in their town. So they cancelled. We booked another club at a pub. And we're going there for a drink, and then a secret location would be given. So here we are, driving down the pub, towards the pub, and who do you think was there? A bloody Muslim cleric in his 90 and 20 followers of the typical loony left bleeding heart appeasers, straight out of uni, holding up signs, refugees are welcome here. Well, you know what? Refugees are not welcome here. And they can go back to where they come from, the lot. 3 cop cars scanned the area. They wasted valuable resources, and it didn't take long to work out that the pub had got wind that I was coming, and they sold us out and made a deal with the traders in the loony left, which was evident when they protested 200 metres down the road. The pub had displayed a sign on the pub, and it said, "Sorry for any inconvenience, we are temporarily closed." It's a bloody sad day in this country when we can no longer exercise the freedom of speech and assembly.
Their own country.
Yes, well said.
Get rid of the police.
It appears that freedom of speech and assembly is only when the Greens, Labor or Muslims allow it.
Yes.
We have the right to speak out in our country, and we have the right to speak out on behalf of others. We have the right to speak out for our children and our grandchildren, so that they too can have the very same freedoms and the right to stand up for their country and their children. If we fail to get it right, if we fail to stand up, we will fail our children and we'll fail our country.
I'll never give up.
It will be the very decisions that our politicians will make that will impact on the future of our children's and their children's future. If we cannot voice our opinion, we need to stand and continue to be loud. We need to stand up even if everybody else is still sitting. Time and time again, the Muslim community have had many opportunities for the Muslims leaders to play a part where they did not want to or refused to. The Muslims leaders in this country must be willing to sit down with our governments and talk openly and be prepared to fix the problem in the communities. The Muslims can continue to be a part of the problem or a part of the solution. And as far as I'm concerned, their victim card has expired. Okay, I'll pick it up. Right. I'm going to skip through a bit, guys, because we're a bit borrowed on time. Okay, so I'll scan. Our country is in a mess, and this is an understatement. And my strongest opinion is this: if we want to stop when we want to stop the jihadists leaving our country to fight along Islamic State, it's like telling an 8-year-old they can no longer go to the theme park The rules have changed. What do you think will happen? We will now have human bombs ready to detonate on our shores at any given moment. We need to tell the government to let them out, get them out of their country, be out of our country before they explode and we have more bloodshed on our soil. Don't bother de-radicalise them, piss them off and give them a one-way ticket to hell. We have thousands of sleepers in our country. The Australian Federal Police will not be able to stop every attack on our soil. We will see a mass attack in Australia and we will see the blood of our men, women and children on our soil. It will only be then that our politicians wake up and the left will wake up. The West has embraced Islam for the sake of being politically correct. And this is what is destroying our country. Just give me a bit. Our politicians, including our leaders, need to toughen up and call Islam for what it is. We have Islam on our shores, and now we are living with the enemy.
Piss them off! Get them out of here! Get them out of here! They're not welcome!
The Egyptian government has shut down some 27,000 mosques. I say, who is looking after our mosques? Who is shutting them down? The Parramatta Mosque should have been declared a criminal organisation and it should have been shut down immediately. We have VLAD laws and bikie laws in Queensland. These laws should be stripped from them and transferred to the terrorists. I believe we need to be monitoring all of our mosques. We need to be shutting down those that preach radicalism and hate. The Saudis are heavily backing the mosque schools and universities right here in Australia with the assistance from our very own government. Traitors is what I call them. And yet ignore the catastrophes of their own people being slaughtered across the Middle East. I believe Australia should walk away from the 1951 Refugee Convention. This is a UN convention our politicians use to excuse themselves from allowing unrestricted inflows of illegal immigrants. Ready? One more. I'm scanning, guys. I'm missing.
Get out of the US!
Yes!
Love Australia or Leave Party will do everything that's possible not to allow any of these refugees to step foot on Australian soil.
Yes!
We are already living with the enemy, and yes, I believe we are under attack. Not all of Syria is under attack. I travelled 384 kilometres through Syria and through ISIL territory. If the UN can build a functional town in less than 2 years in Jordan that house and provide quality services to 80,000 plus refugees, including a strip of shops and markets, the same can be done back in Syria and Iraq. These projects can be quickly developed and effectively, and we can resettle those who came illegally to Australia and have them returned as quickly as possible. In Australia, when you're placed on the waiting list for public housing, you do not get to choose which suburb you live in. Love Australia or Leave believes the same rules should apply. Refugees that have come to Australia, including the 12,000 Syrian refugees plus, our foolish governments have decided to bring in. Love Australia or Leave will send back all 12,000 Syrian refugees. We will send them back in stages. We have developed a policy known as the Syrian-Iraq Resettling Building Program called Operation Send Back. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Okay guys, I'll just scan through because feel like I'm going to be arrested.
You got permission from me, don't worry.
I have permission.
We'll have you every minute.
Okay, I have sat back and I have seen the erosions of our freedoms in this country. I have sat back and seen innocent attacks on people, and I say no more. I believe in fighting for our country for the sake of our children and our grandchildren. It is time to tell the government we have had a gutful in this country. It is time to stand up. It is time to stand up for our rights. The war to fight terrorism is not one person's war. It is everybody's war. It will be our children's war, more than 100-year war. We are all standing on the battlefield together. It depends what position you take up. We need to have people moving up to the front. We need to have people who will stand up for our country. This is not about me. This is about you. This is about your grandchildren and what legacy we will leave behind for our children and their generations to come in Australia. It is not a part of our Australian culture to give up. I believe if you live in this country, it's worth fighting for. It's simple, really. You live in our country, you adopt our ways, you respect our culture, you respect our laws, and you better respect our people. Only then do you deserve to share the freedoms and democracy and stand with us, because they are the very things we hold dear. So you either love Australia or leave.
Thank you, Kim Vuga! And the Love It or Leave It Australia Party.
Oops! I did it again, baby. Yeah!
Tune in tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye for now.